You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what he actually does with the universe we live in.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon. The most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us.
Hello, beautiful people. Happy Monday, happy Moon Day, and welcome to Taurus season. In today's episode, we're going to walk through the astrological energy of the entire week. We don't have any major events or major shifts coming, but we do have some powerful transits that are really helping us push ahead, find our direction, lots of activation with the North and South nodes, with Chiron. So we'll be talking a lot about healing, and with Mars in Cancer, which of course is associated with movement, moving forward. Mercury's retrograde. We're in the middle of eclipse season. So as we get started, I would just love to hear, if you're joining me live, how the energy is feeling for you. I haven't seen you since the eclipse and since Mercury stationed retrograde and since Taurus season began. And wow, there's a lot going on in my 8th house personally. It's been intense, but I'm so grateful that we're here together to talk through it all. And a lot of our friends are here this morning. Hi, Corby. Happy Monday to you. Yes, welcome to the Pluto roller coaster ride. Pluto still at 0 degrees of Aquarius, and will be at 0 degrees of Aquarius for a couple more months. Buckle up. Okay, we're talking about dreams, which is cool. Love that, especially since Neptune was part of the forecast this morning. So we'll get into that. Nick is here. He says hello. Everybody's saying hi to each other. Hi, Rachel. Oh, thank you so much, Rachel. You are so sweet. Corby says, I feel good today. Definitely feel like being social and connecting. Well, the moon was in Gemini all weekend, so definitely bringing those social vibes. But in the next hour or so, the moon is going to move into Cancer. So if you're watching this on Monday, the moon is about to move into Cancer. That might bring you a little bit back into your home, into your comfort zone. Nick says, surrendered this past week. Went on a road trip with some friends. I love that. Terry has lots of energy. Beautiful. Yes, Rachel just launched an astrology page. This is why I love this community. We are all just cheering each other on. And yeah, Rachel's feeling that 8th house energy too. Lots of shadows coming up. I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. Well, let's get a check on the current energy. The moon isn't technically in Cancer just yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there. So we might as well just start tapping into that energy. Actually, right now, the moon is at the 29th degree of Gemini. So no wonder we're all feeling extra chatty and a little restless and very mentally active. The 29th degree will do that to us. So expect by the end of the day to maybe feel a little bit more grounded, rooted, and into your body. But let's start with the major transit we're experiencing today. And that is the sun coming into a conjunction with the north node. So you can see on our chart here at the top of the chart, the sun and the north node are both at 4 degrees of Taurus. And that means the sun is also directly opposing the south node. So what does this mean for us? Well, if you're new to astrology, you might be asking, what the heck is the north node? And the nodes, the north and south nodes, are often referred to as the nodes of fate. And they are nodes essentially on the axis of the moon. So when we are talking about eclipses, as we're experiencing in this eclipse season, Eclipses happen when the moon and the sun and the earth line up with the north and south nodes, or come into a conjunction with the north and south nodes. The north node represents our purpose, our destiny, what we're here to embody, how we have to reach out of our comfort zone to get there. And the south node is our comfort zone. It's who we've already been. It's what we've already mastered. So with the Taurus sun coming into a conjunction with the north node, we're experiencing this right now. The north node being our direction, being our future, being our destiny, the sun being the main luminary of our solar system, there's illumination of the direction we are meant to have, of the destiny we're here to embody or to follow. So this is like illuminating our soul's mission today. Collectively, we might be feeling this. There could be some fated moments or shifts happening. I know, just based on the push alerts on my phone and the headlines I've seen this morning, a couple main news anchors on major networks, CNN and Fox News, have left their positions this morning. Do I think that that has to do directly with the North Node? Maybe. So there are these fated moments playing out today specifically, but maybe even all week. And all throughout eclipse season, really, that are illuminating our path ahead. Essentially, this is a time where we can lean into the energy that we are meant to embody and meant to become more like. And this is a conjunction that happens once a year. So it's this moment, this annual moment that we get that's like, okay, where are we going? What are we doing? So notice if there are any shifts, if there are any conversations you're having today, or pieces of information that come into your awareness that sort of light the path ahead. With this conjunction happening in Taurus as well, the most physically focused sign, the sign most associated with the earth, there could be a focus on the physical planet that we as humans are occupying and our human impact on it, our collective direction that we are heading. Because when we're talking about the north and south nodes in transits, we're really talking about the collective rather than the individual. However, individual moments could happen for you this week as well that show you, okay, here's where I'm supposed to go. Here's what I'm supposed to do. Now, something else I want to point out about this, because we're going to get a lot of Saturn activation this week too, but in a supportive way more than anything else. So you can see Saturn is, and this is a transit we will talk about, I believe, for our Tuesday forecast. Saturn's at 4 degrees of Pisces as well, forming a sextile to this conjunction between the sun and the north node. So Saturn is supporting this illumination, supporting this direction. It could be a powerful day to reflect on the lessons that have been coming up, or there could be some obstacles that feel like they're challenges that they are preventing you from moving forward, but it could just be a roadblock forcing you to take a detour that is actually going to show you where you're supposed to head. So pay attention to the lessons, the obstacles, the challenges. They could actually be acting as guides to lead you on the path you're supposed to walk, even if it doesn't fully make sense right now. And Saturn's influence connecting with this conjunction in Taurus does bring this grounded maturity and responsibility. It's like slow and steady, one step at a time. Follow the yellow brick road, right? But it doesn't have to be like, oh, I know exactly where I'm going and let's run head first there. It's just, okay, we're going to take one step at a time and let fate show us the direction we're meant to head. It's like fate is our map. And if we just keep walking in that direction, new paths could unfold. We just have to stay grounded, stay mature. So I love that we're starting the week on this note. It's like a compass that's helping us navigate eclipse season maybe a little more easily. Just pay attention to your intuition, especially as the moon moves into Cancer today. Pay attention to the messages, the people, the situations that the universe is putting in your path. Hello, Bree. Happy to see you here. North Node in the 8th house for you, Terry. Okay, so maybe some deep purpose coming online for you during this conjunction. Yeah, first things first. Exactly. One step at a time, just being responsible. Hi, Katie. Katie's back from her trip to Ireland. So excited for you. Can't wait. I think you sent some stuff to our group chat, so I can't wait to take a look at it. Okay, so we talked about the moon in Gemini. making its final connections this morning. Actually, last night about 1 a.m., so technically this morning, the Gemini moon made a connection to Jupiter. I don't know about you, but I was up in the middle of the night last night. Like I had this surge of energy. Even if this transit didn't keep you awake, you might have had grand dreams, bigger dreams. Whenever Jupiter's involved, there's a lot more energy to work with. So restlessness, excitement, optimism, part of the forecast overnight. Hopefully it just gave you sweet dreams and not a restless night of sleep. The transit most of us woke up under, though, was a square between the moon and Neptune. So that can cause haziness, fogginess, sleepiness. You might have had a slow start to the day, maybe just wanting to hang out in bed a little bit longer, stay in your dreams a little bit longer. The moon squaring Neptune kind of forces us to take it slow and feel our way through the morning. It does also help us be a little bit more compassionate, or even force us to be a little bit more compassionate, because we can more easily pick up on other people's energy when the moon squares Neptune, maybe to a fault even. So luckily things are starting to transition, because right around noon, as I've said a few times now, the waxing crescent moon moves into Cancer. Remember, Cancer is the moon's home sign. So whenever the moon moves back into Cancer, it's like a homecoming. The moon loves to be here. We can come back to our body, come back to our emotions, attune to our intuition. Caretaking is part of the deal when we're talking about Cancer energy. So it'll feel good to take care of other people, to cook them a warm meal. And it will also feel just as nurturing to receive that motherly Cancer love, to be taken care of, to accept a warm meal from someone else. So just make sure you are nourishing yourself as much as you're nourishing other people, and make sure that you are nourishing your body just as much as you're nourishing your soul. When the moon is in Cancer, I find there's a lot of focus on the physical body, because the moon really taps us into our body. You know, we are 70% water. The moon controls all the tides on Earth. So especially when the moon is in its home sign, I feel like we are really tapped into the energetics of what's happening with the moon. The Cancer moon comes into this mashup late tonight, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. It connects with Saturn in a trine. This is all at 4 degrees. So paying attention to if there's anything else right around 4 or 5 degrees in your chart, it's probably going to be activated tonight, because the moon at 4 degrees of Cancer will harmonize with Saturn at 4 degrees of Pisces, and then also form a sextile to the sun and the North Node at 4 degrees of Taurus. So this cosmic mashup, let me actually pull it up on the chart here. It feels like it is, I'll just jump ahead a little bit past it so you can see what's happening. It feels like it is helping us stay grounded, kind of find stability. You can see the moon harmonizing with Saturn, then connecting with this conjunction over here in Taurus. When this is all happening, it's easier to be mature. It's easier. You might really just want to slow down and be cozy, be at home tonight. It is a Monday night after all. It is a moon day after all. So really the whole forecast today, it's like slow and steady. Listen to your body. It's moon day. Our body rules. Taking care of your home will feel very natural today too, especially when the moon moves into Cancer. There's this grounded ability tonight, though, during this cosmic mashup, to take the lead. Saturn is all about leadership and responsibility and being that authority figure. So it's like whatever is being illuminated by the sun and the North Node in a conjunction in Taurus, the moon comes into the picture tonight in Cancer, in the sign of the mother, in a cardinal sign. And it's like, okay, how can we listen to our body, but also step up, lean into our confidence as the moon connects with the sun, make progress, take the lead, but also let our intuition lead us. Not necessarily taking the lead from an egoic place, but rather from an emotional place. Saturn is in Pisces, very much giving us that ability for emotional leadership, for sensitivity as we step up. The moon in Cancer sort of doing the same thing. So tonight's energy feels like this ability to really tap into ourselves, get grounded, and then also step up and be like, okay, how am I moving forward? How can I take the next step? And how can I bring other people along with me if that feels good? So it might feel like sort of a slow day, a stretched out day where there's plenty of time to really sink into every experience that's coming your way. I say take advantage of that. Nick's cat was feeling that sextile to Jupiter overnight. Woke him up right when that was happening around 1 a.m. That's funny. Rachel too. Yeah, did not sleep at all last night. Sometimes, Jupiter is the planet of abundance, but sometimes if there's Jupiter activation in the middle of the night, it's like, could we have just done this a different time, Jupiter? Yeah, Corby had super active dreams, not surprised by that at all. Oh, my husband's Pluto is opposing all of the Taurus transits, and he is feeling it. That's a great point, Katie, though, because many of us millennials have Pluto and Scorpio. So, this Scorpio lunar eclipse coming up in about 2 weeks from now is probably going to activate many of our Pluto placements and everything happening in Taurus, because we've got the Sun, Mercury, the North Node, and Uranus all in Taurus right now. There's a good chance if you have Pluto and Scorpio, one of those planets is opposing your Pluto. So this is why I love us all contributing to the live stream, because many of us are probably feeling what your husband is feeling, that forcing us to see our transformation through the lens of whatever planet is opposing Pluto. But I love this as well. Katie says, so grateful for the awareness and reminding myself the Uranus transit is long and this is a long shift. Yes, you're making me realize right now that Uranus is coming into an opposition with my Pluto and with my partner's Mars. Oh boy, yeah. So lots of transformation, lots of change up for those of us who have Pluto and Scorpio. The moon has been beautiful the past couple nights. You can just see the sliver of it. Yeah, if you get a chance tonight, go up and look at that Cancer moon, or really anytime this week. Katie's loving the connections to her Mars in Taurus and moon to my Chiron in Cancer. Moving slowly towards healing. Beautiful interpretation of those transits playing out for you. Yeah, Nikki too. Overactive head last night, couldn't sleep. Thanks a lot, Jupiter. My Pluto is opposing Pluto and Mars. Oh, okay. That's a lot of activation for you, Terry. All right, that's our moon day forecast. Let's move on to Tuesday or Mars day. And I just want to remind you, if you can't stay for the whole episode today, or if you find this video halfway through, I will add markers to the timeline by the end of the day. So you can just jump to whatever part of the forecast you are looking for guidance on, whichever day you're looking for a little bit of a deeper dive on. So Tuesday, Mars day. We're coming into a sextile between the Sun and Saturn. So this is very similar to what I was showing you when we were talking about the conjunction between the Sun and the North Node. You'll see that Saturn is still right there tomorrow. It is forming a sextile to the Sun. Now, Saturn forming a sextile to the Sun. This is, again, there's a lot of maturity and groundedness that we're stepping into this week, which feels very helpful amidst Mercury retrograde and in the middle of eclipse season. The Sun forming a sextile to Saturn feels like it's helping us to slow down, pace ourselves. There's an ability to concentrate, a natural determination too. With the Sun in Taurus, it's like we're digging our heels in, we're pushing ahead. And Saturn gives us that authority, like, yeah, we can do this, especially with Saturn in Pisces. There's this ability to believe and trust in our own authority, in our own ability to succeed and achieve. And so this nice 60-degree angle between the two brings a dose of realism to whatever the Sun is illuminating. Like, realistically, can we make this happen, and how can we make this happen? It might also be sort of illuminating, again, the lessons you're learning, the challenges you've been facing, some roadblocks that have been put in your way. But remember, the North Node is still right in this mashup too. So whatever feels like an obstacle could actually be a blessing in disguise. I love when the Sun comes into a sextile with Saturn. I believe this happens about twice a year, because this is a great opportunity to ask advice from elders or from people who have more experience than you, from authority figures, from teachers. If you are trying to make sense of the shifts that are happening, of the transformation that's happening, if you're finding yourself going back and reviewing things with Mercury retrograde, or just dealing with a lot of changes, sometimes it's helpful to talk to somebody with more experience than you. Maybe they're not even an expert in whatever field that you are looking for advice in, but Saturn reminds us, as Saturn is the Lord of time, right, that there is wisdom gained over time, that although, you might be 30 years old and have a wild history behind you already with lots of experience, lots of lessons, maybe even a lot of hardship that you've learned from, it probably won't hold a candle to somebody who's in their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, who has just lived a lot longer and seen a lot more life. With time comes wisdom. So if you're feeling a little lost, if you're feeling a little bit discombobulated, call your grandma, call your mom, talk to your dad, talk to a teacher or a guide or someone that you trust and look up to. That can be really powerful with the Sun sextile Saturn. We're really supported in integrating the lessons we've been learning. And sometimes that support can come in the form of someone else in our lives. Ooh, Corby says, I was drawn to the phrase in a magazine yesterday, made to change. These transits are an invitation for us to lean into change and surrender. It's for our overall good. Yeah, that theme of surrender, that is the message of eclipse season. Surrender and then surrender some more. So I thank you for sharing that. Made to change. We are made to change. We're not meant to stay the same. And, we're going to deal with a lot of Uranus activation this Taurus season 2 with Uranus and Taurus. And Uranus is the planet of disruption and change. We're talking about eclipse season. Lots of changes happen during eclipses. So I love that mantra to come back to. We are made to change. We're not meant to stay the same. Okay, there is another sextile playing out Tuesday evening, and that is a 60-degree connection between Venus and Chiron. So Venus at 16 degrees of Gemini over here, you can see that sextile to Chiron in Aries. Love is healing. Relationships are healing. But in the same breath, relationships often force us to heal through mirroring back our wounds to us. Remembering that relationships are our greatest teachers. With this happening on the same day as the Sun forming a sextile to Saturn, it really feels like that teacher energy is coming in strong. So Venus and Gemini, we are drawn to having conversations, to intellectual stimulation, to learning new things. You might even be having a conversation with a friend or a partner with Venus and Gemini that illuminates something new for you. You learn something new through that conversation. And with Chiron, the wounded healer, on the other end of this sextile on Tuesday, you might gain some new perspective about your own healing journey just by listening to someone else's experience or getting their perspective on your situation. Now, that's not saying that we need to outsource our own authority by, oh my gosh, what should I do? Just tell me what to do. I know that's tempting. I know I've been there a million times. Like, someone please just tell me what to do so I don't have to make this decision for myself, right? Instead of being in that mindset, I encourage you to just get someone's perspective and take it in, if you can, through a more neutral lens. Like, okay, I didn't see it that way. How can I incorporate that into my view of things and maybe find a new approach or a new way of healing this part of myself that is coming up right now, that is wounded, that needs some attention. You might even be surprised, like light conversation, a little chit chat among friends, among lovers, among business partners or coworkers could provoke something much deeper. It could just be you're having a conversation in the office on Tuesday, or you're on the phone with an old friend. Mercury's retrograde, so people from your past might pop up too. But it could just be that someone's like, yeah, I've really been, loving cold plunging or going to the sauna, or I've been microdosing, or I've been doing X, Y, and Z for my healing, and it's been really great. And that little tidbit could be like, wow, I should try that. Remember, the North Node is very active this week too, and all through eclipse season. So these light conversations, especially with Venus and Gemini, we like to keep it light. We like to keep it a little flirty, a little playful. in that state of not taking things too seriously, sometimes gold nuggets drop in. And it might just be that you're in a conversation and sharing what you've been doing for your own healing could make you realize, oh, wow, I'm farther along than I thought I was. Look at how much progress I've already made in my healing. Or I don't know about you, but for me, sometimes talking about what I'm going through, talking about what I'm healing can help me better understand it too. So I love the idea of relating to other people through conversation, especially with Venus and Gemini, just to gain a different perspective on our own healing journey. The relationships being mirrors. Yes, relationships are our biggest mirrors. Yeah, what you said just resonates with me for the past couple months. Yeah. And often they mirror things back to us that we don't want to see. So noticing if you're like, oh, this person is like irritating me, or I don't like what they're doing. What is that mirroring back about you? It's very easy in any kind of relationship just to project and put the blame on someone else, or make it so it's not our fault. It's all about them. But if you are in a situation like that, it's very powerful and sometimes uncomfortable to ask, what is this mirroring back about me and my internal experience? And doing that could be very healing. Remember, Chiron is the wounded healer. So yes, relationships can illuminate our wounds, but they can also show us how to heal those wounds. All this Taurus energy hitting my 7th house. Speaking of relationships, right, Corby? The review and the reevaluation is happening, remaining open to the gold nuggets and these mirror moments. Yeah. Yes, when you hear the words out loud. Exactly, Terry. Sometimes we get caught in our head and we're like, okay, we know these things. But when we hear ourselves saying them out loud, that person across from us that we're relating to acts like a mirror, and we can kind of see ourselves more clearly through relating to them. Katie says, my trip brought up surrendering control over others' healing. It was great to go away with someone I'm less responsible for than my family. Amen to that. It allowed me to witness more and allow others to experience. That is exactly how I felt traveling with a friend last year rather than my partner or my family, because you aren't responsible for their experience. You can have your own experience and they can have their own experience, and there's not as much enmeshment. And I love that you brought this up. I always love when Katie drops in because it's like a light bulb moment for me. We can think of Venus and Gemini as giving us that ability too. Gemini is more of that friendly energy. So can you detach a little bit from the energetic connection you have with the person you're relating to and just see them as a mirror to you? Just see them as someone having their own experience, and through that lens of their experience, maybe we get another perspective about our own. Okay, what's going on with the Cancer moon on Tuesday? The moon in Cancer forms a sextile to Mercury Retrograde very, very early Tuesday morning. This is going to help us use our mental mind to process our emotions. So you might be feeling nostalgic, especially with the moon in Cancer and Mercury Retrograde. Definitely the vibe on Tuesday to call up an old friend, talk to someone from your past, maybe communication from your past just kind of pops in. And you might find too that relating to somebody that you're not currently connected to or isn't up to date on everything that's going on with you, that can be a very powerful opportunity to mirror back your progress, right? Like, let me just update you on everything that's been going on with me the past couple months. And that can be a perspective in itself, just sharing that update. Like, wow, look at how much has changed for me, right? But journaling, talking, writing, are all going to help us process our emotions on Tuesday morning. Then the moon goes quiet for most of the day on Tuesday. It's not until Tuesday night that we really start to see some action. So Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time, the moon comes into a conjunction with Mars. So just for fun, let's pull this up on the chart here. And you can see the moon and Mars very close together in Cancer. When the moon is conjunct Mars, we're more likely to just take action, right? Especially if our intuition is like, do this. We're probably just going to want to do it. We can be a little bit more impulsive. We can be a little bit more reactive when the moon is conjunct Mars. The Cancer energy at least brings that intuition into the picture, as we just mentioned. But if we have a gut instinct, it will be very easy to just act on it, to just go with it. So you might also find with the moon conjunct Mars, because Mars is linked to our physical energy, on Tuesday night, late Tuesday night, you get like a surge of mental energy. It's like, I just want to go. I just want to do. Like, you might feel like this instinct to, I don't know, whatever you're going to feel the instinct to do, but it's going to be like, let's just do it now. Let's just move on it now. Not really ideal timing with this happening at 8 p.m. or even later, depending on where you live. So just notice if you are getting that kind of restless, I need to move, and if you're not able to act on whatever impulse is coming up, it could be for the best. Just move your body. Even doing some gentle movement can help channel that energy and move that energy through you. Mars wants that physical movement. I think also with the moon in Cancer, with Mars in Cancer, impulsive eating could be a byproduct, because Cancer rules the stomach. So could be that craving, like, I'm just going to run to the drive-thru and get something right now. Like literally a gut instinct, like, oh, I want sweets right now. I'm just going to go do it. Impulses. Aggression can pop up when the moon is conjunct Mars as well. So if you're feeling yourself getting heated, I would say take some space, move your body, try to get that energy out through yourself rather than projecting it onto other people, because remember, Venus is connecting with Chiron, so it's all too easy for us to project our wounding onto other people through relating to them. So expect a surge of energy on Tuesday night. Shortly after that, the moon squares Chiron. So not only is the moon conjunct Mars, but there's a square to Chiron at the same time. You can see it on the chart there. Triggers can pop up at the same time. So it feels like Tuesday night is really the time when those healing moments or triggering moments can happen that spur the healing to come. Just notice if you're feeling triggered, how can the person that you're interacting with mirror back to you your internal experience? Can you get another perspective? Can you call someone with more wisdom than you late Tuesday night or even Tuesday afternoon if you're starting to feel this energy? But just noticing, are you triggered? Do you want to react? Why is that? Can you dig a little deeper and get to the root of it so you can heal whatever is coming up? Now, Tuesday night's probably going to be another night where there's a little bit of restless energy or excitement, because right around midnight, the moon comes into a sextile with Uranus. So again, you can see this all on the chart playing out at the same time. The moon forming a sextile to Uranus in Taurus. This makes us excited. This makes us want some sort of disruption or anticipation. It's like, okay, what's going to happen next? And with all the triggering energy happening at the same time, it could be very easy to become the disruptor, to have an upset, to burn it all down, just so we can force the change to happen. I don't think I have to explain why that could be problematic. So just in a nutshell, Tuesday night could be very activating, very triggering. Like, we want change to happen. We want to do something now. We're irritated. We're angry. Like, let's just force it. If that's the case, come back to your body. Find safety in your body. The moon is in Cancer. How can you come back to your own emotions, your own intuition? And how can whoever is irritating you or whatever is irritating you, maybe it's not even another person, how can that be a mirror for your own healing? Why you got to call me out like that? We've all been there, Marissa. We have all been there. I don't know if I would have thought to go with my cousin if you hadn't shared going away with your friend. Oh, that makes me so happy. Yes. If I could choose, I would only travel with friends. Hopefully my partner doesn't see that, because we definitely have a big trip planned this year and this week. But it's just a different experience. It's really nice to not have to be responsible, like Katie was sharing, for someone else's experience. Hopefully I'll be sleeping and the dreams aren't so aggressive. I'm hoping that for you on Tuesday night, Corby. But yes, excitement. It's like there's this anticipation, this excitement, but also like we just want to do it. We just want it to happen now. We just want to follow this instinct, even if it's at 8, 9, 10 o'clock, midnight, whatever time it is where you are. So that's our Tuesday forecast. Now let's move into Wednesday, Mercury Day, April 26th. What is happening for us on Wednesday? We're actually just talking about the moon on Wednesday, making its final connections in Cancer and then moving into Leo very late at night. So most of our Tuesday, maybe all of our Tuesday, depending if you live on the East Coast, the moon will be in Cancer all day Tuesday. Remembering this is the waxing crescent moon in Cancer. So we're planning, we're preparing, and our intuition, our emotions are our compass, helping us navigate, helping us move forward, trusting those gut instincts that pop up, just maybe not acting on them right away. 2 p.m. on Wednesday afternoon, the moon squares Jupiter. When the moon squares Jupiter, it's easy to go overboard. Our emotions could feel over the top because the moon is in Cancer, the sign that rules our emotions and our nurturing. So you might have a lot of energy, but you might have a lot of emotions as well. We have an abundance of energy to work with, but it's really easy to push the limits or go overboard, or, you know, I almost see this as like a little bit smothering energy when the moon squares Jupiter and the moon is in Cancer. Like, let me just take care of you. Like, let me just do it for you. There's very generous energy when Jupiter is involved, but sometimes it can be a little much if the person isn't actually asking for our help or asking us to take care of them. So just noticing if your emotions feel over the top, if the energy feels over the top on Wednesday afternoon, take a breather, come back to your body, just keep coming back to your body with the moon in Cancer, and know that the energy will pass. Maybe you use that surge of energy with the moon squaring Jupiter to clean your house or to tend to your body in some way, to go on a run, to move that energy out of you. Shortly after that, the moon harmonizes with Neptune. This is the last connection the Cancer moon will make, 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. This harmony between the moon and Neptune is a powerful moment for our intuition. So Jupiter will still be in that square at the same time. If you are getting an overwhelming feeling about something, write it down, take note of it, trust whatever feelings are coming up. The moon and Neptune in this trine allow us to believe what can't be seen, to trust in the unfolding, to trust that a higher power is guiding us, to trust in our angels, our guides on the other side of the veil being there to support us, and to have compassion for ourselves, for other people along the way. So there's this very compassionate, generous energy that we're working with for most of the day on Wednesday. Just try not to smother anyone else in the process. This would be a great day to do some sort of spiritual practice, to, you know, pull an oracle card, ask your guides for messages, stay open to synchronicities. There's a lot of magic by midday. Then the moon goes void until basically the end of the day. So after 4 p.m., 5 p.m. Pacific time, 7, 8 p.m. Eastern time, the energy is going to die down. You're probably just going to want to chill out in your home Wednesday evening. It's not until 11:30 p.m. Pacific time that the first quarter moon moves into Leo. This is late Wednesday night. So when the moon moves into Leo, remember, Leo is very playful, very passionate, very fun. You'll see on the chart here, the moon just about to move into Leo. When the moon is in Leo, our inner child can come out to play, which we absolutely love, especially the first quarter moon in Leo. How can you take action like you would have as a child? Can you play? Can you make it playful? Can you make it creative? Can you make it fun while still making progress? Leo energy is very performative as well. So you might feel like you want to be a little bit like, oh, look at how I'm moving forward. Look at what I'm doing. It's like our emotions are on center stage. Look at how I'm feeling, and look at how I'm using my feelings to move towards my goals right now. So we're just more willing, you know, the moon goes from Cancer, the sign of the home, kind of wanting to be more in our body, in our emotional experience, to Leo, which is much more external and expressive. It's easier to express our emotions with the moon in Leo. And because the moon is coming into its first quarter phase the following day, it's the time to take action. It is the time to move forward. Even though it's eclipse season and most of us probably aren't, you know, following a traditional intention setting manifestation model of the moon cycle, it is really a time to surrender. How can you play through the movement that's happening? How can you surrender through play, through expression, through creativity, through fun? Can you do a little art? Can you make a little music? Can you play a little game? playing and letting it be playful is going to feel really emotionally nurturing over the coming days as the moon moves through Leo. But as you'll see on the chart, right when the moon moves into Leo, it immediately opposes Pluto. This is happening right around midnight Pacific time, 3 a.m. Eastern time, Wednesday night into Thursday morning. And when the moon opposes Pluto, power struggles are possible, especially with the moon at 0 degrees of Leo, which it will be at during that opposition. There's this all week, we've got this late night restlessness happening, middle of the night transits that are kind of keeping us moving energy through us when we'd probably rather just be resting. But the moon opposing Pluto at 0 degrees, there's this eagerness to, again, move forward, to let it be fun, let it be playful. But Pluto in Aquarius is much deeper, much more intense, forcing us to see deeper perspectives. And, you know, the Leo moon might just want to keep things light. So there could be that internal battle between, I want it to be fun, I just want to surrender, I just want to be playful. And Pluto on the other end of the wheel, like, no, hello, you're going through an intense transformation right now. You need to like really pay attention to the shadows that are coming up and the deep stuff that's coming up. But remember that oppositions are make or break energy. So if we can use both of these voices inside of us or parts of ourselves, two things can coexist at the same time. It can be fun, it can be light. We can dance through transformation while still acknowledging that it's deep, that it's profound, that it's very powerful, and that this alchemy is happening. The one warning label I will give very late Wednesday night is avoid ego tantrums. With the moon at 0 degrees of Leo, our ego could definitely be making an appearance. Leo is often associated with the ego. And Pluto just makes things a little bit intense, right? We want control. It's easier to manipulate. And we might even be like attracted to manipulating. Our ego, I should say, might be attracted to manipulating the situation to gain control. So rather than forcing the control and getting yourself into a power struggle, how can you make it light? How can you make it playful and fun and sort of dance through that transformation? Like Terry is saying, make a little dance, get down tonight. Even literally dancing or being silly or moving your body in a weird way, if you are feeling those power struggles, or if you're in a power struggle with someone else, being like, hey, can we pause this and just like make a weird sound, or just like blah, 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 like move our body in a weird way to break up the tension. That could be a really great way to use that opposition. Katie says, I've definitely been connected with my angels this week. Will be open to messages. I'm sure a lot of your ancestors and angels were like, she came to our homeland and kind of popped in for you on your trip. Or I hope they did at least. That's always super cool when you visit somewhere that you have ancestral connection to. Okay, moving on to our Thursday, our Jupiter day. The main transit that we are talking about on Thursday, April 27th, is Mars squaring Chiron. So you're probably noticing at this point, we're talking about a lot of the same players throughout the week coming into angles with each other. Mars squaring Chiron. This is an energy we're probably feeling for most of the week because neither of these planets move too fast. Mars definitely moves a lot faster than Chiron. But when Mars squares Chiron, especially because Chiron is in Aries, the sign of the child, Mars is in Cancer, the sign of the mother, inner child wounding, mother wounds, feeling like maybe we weren't taken care of as well as we should have been. That could come up, and quite honestly, it could make us a little bit angry. Mars is the planet of anger, aggression, war. So you'll see Mars at 17 degrees of Cancer, squaring Chiron at 17 degrees of Aries. Notice if you are feeling angry or irritated or aggravated about something. This is, again, another opportunity to go deeper, get to the root of this. Where is this coming from? Is there an unhealed part of me that's trying to be expressed, that's angry? There's usually truth beneath emotion. There's always information underneath emotion. Anger is just a messenger that maybe our boundaries have been violated. Maybe we don't feel like we have been treated the way we should have been treated. And this could be especially true about the mother-child dynamic, again, with Mars in Cancer and Chiron in Aries. So if we haven't realized or expressed how we've been hurt by a certain situation, we could be forced to face those emotions on Thursday, forced to face the wounding and the pain. And when we do acknowledge the wounding, there's an opportunity for healing there, right? So, you know, as hard as it might be to do in the moment, if we're feeling irritation, if we're feeling hurt or anger, it's like, oh, okay, how can I use this as an opportunity to heal this part of me? Thank you, universe, for allowing me to feel this emotion, to see what I haven't noticed before, maybe to see it in a new way too. Healing is possible. This square to Chiron could activate our healing. It just might be a little bit hostile as we're receiving this intel through our emotions. So when Mars squares Chiron, it could be easy to act from our wounding. And if you're noticing you're doing that, aka maybe letting your inner toddler out, tantruming a little bit, that's definitely a possibility of Mars squaring Chiron. Be like, okay, this part of me doesn't have to run the show. How can I let my inner parent come in and give my inner toddler, give my inner child what they're crying for, what they need? Notice if you're feeling that reactivity, can you get to the truth of that feeling? Use this energy to activate your healing journey rather than it rocking you, if you can, rather than just letting the anger come up. You're all here. You are all self-aware. You're all on some sort of healing journey if you're here. So how can the emotions, the anger, the irritation, the activation that's coming up, how can that help you move along your healing journey? And Mars in Cancer reminds us to take care of ourselves, take care of our bodies, be nurturing to us and other people along the way. How can you take care of yourself and your body through the healing journey as well? That might be the most tense transit of the week, Mars squaring Chiron. So that's not until Thursday, early Thursday morning. Our day could be kind of dominated by the healing activation, wounding activation, a little bit of irritation. But yes, Rachel, so much happening with Chiron this weekend and this week. Interested to see what comes up because I have a quantum healing session scheduled for next week. And this week I have to meditate on things that need healed. Sounds like perfect timing. Sounds like perfect timing that all of this is happening with the North and South nodes, with Mars. You know, we're coming into a lunar eclipse in Scorpio as well, revealing our deepest shadows, showing us our deepest shadows, bringing them to a culmination point. So I don't think it's any coincidence that the journey to get there between the solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse in the middle of eclipse season could be a little bit rocky, could be a little bit uncomfortable and activating and bring up some anger. I know that's already been happening for me and in my life. So giving ourselves grace and compassion through it. Oh, I thought you had Irish ancestry, but yes, so much history and magic there. I've been avoiding it because I've been afraid of what may come up, but I thank you for being vulnerable. First of all, thank you for sharing this, Rachel. We always love you sharing your experience. If you don't acknowledge whatever's irritating you, it just gets buried down. And the more you bury it, the more you push it down, the more hostile and angry and hot-tempered it's going to be, probably when it comes up. When you shine light on your shadows, you probably see things you don't want to see that aren't comfortable to acknowledge, but there is so much power, and this will be a theme of the lunar eclipse coming up at the end of next week. There's so much power in knowing what's been hidden in the dark, because then we can work with those parts of ourselves rather than just ignoring them and pretending they're not there. I'm debating communicating with my mom why I'm estranged from her. I'm not pushing myself for answers right now and just staying open to what the answer might be as I get closer to Mother's Day. Wow, I didn't even think about Mother's Day coming up in a couple weeks. Yeah, mother wounds could definitely be coming up for a lot of us, especially those of you with Chiron and Cancer. I know several of you have Chiron and Cancer. As Mars comes into a conjunction or moves near your Chiron, those mother wounds could definitely be aggravated too. Yeah, and this is happening in my 8th house. Yeah, me too. It's like all about the shadows, right? Okay, let's talk about the Leo moon on Thursday. So again, this is the first quarter moon in Leo officially on Thursday. We're moving forward, we're taking action, and hopefully we're finding some play and fun through whatever actions we're taking. Maybe even playful and fun emotions coming up too, which could bring an element of levity to any irritation that's happening. The moon will come into a T-square with the north and south nodes only about an hour and a half after that square between Mars and Chiron. And this happens twice a month, the moon squaring both the north node and the south node at the same time. Anytime this happens, I say this is like an emotional turning point. We are making our way we're actually moving a little bit closer to the south node. We're moving from the north node to the south node on the moon cycle right now. But it's like, this feels a little bit more like, okay, we've had all this north node activation. The sun came into a conjunction with the north node earlier in the week. We know where we need to go, but with Mercury retrograde and this lunar eclipse coming up in Scorpio, this could be the turning point of actually acknowledging those shadows, actually seeing what we have been avoiding. So as Mars squares the north and south nodes, it could be an emotional turning point when that irritation comes up, like, oh, that's what's been hiding down there. Okay, now that I know about it, what can I do with this? Then by 2 p.m. in the afternoon on Thursday, we have the official first quarter moon, the moon squaring the sun, some tension between our external experience and our internal experience. Internally with the moon in Leo, we want it to be fun. We want it to be playful, but Mars, Chiron, other people could be irritating us. There could be situations that feel like they're preventing us from feeling that ease and that joy and that playfulness. The sun in Taurus definitely keeps things more serious and more rooted in our values and the physical world, whereas the moon in Leo, we're very much in our heart space and we just want to be kids and play and be free. So you could be feeling a little bit of tension between being serious and dealing with what needs to be dealt with, and then also just enjoying your life and having fun. Again, it's okay to play into a little bit of both, and using that tension can propel us forward. Like, yes, we need to be responsible and grounded, but we can also, how can we make it more playful as we move forward? How can we make our physical experience a little bit more enjoyable? The Leo moon can help us find the answers to that question. Now, late Thursday night, midnight actually, Pacific time, so 3 a.m. Eastern time, the moon comes into a conjunction with Lilith in Leo. So you can see that here on the chart. We'll jump ahead and you'll see the moon right there with Lilith in Leo. Where are they? Over here. Remember, Lilith represents the parts of ourselves that have been repressed, have been ignored, that can be a little hostile when they feel like they're not allowed to express how they want to express or have sovereignty over themselves. So the moon conjunct to Lilith could bring a little spiciness, a little bitchiness if we are witnessing our shadows, witnessing that aggravation, witnessing that irritation. Just remember, if there's one message to remember for Thursday, for Jupiter Day, let life be fun. It doesn't all have to be so serious. There's a lot going on that makes us feel like we've got to acknowledge these deep, dark things. We've got to heal. We've got to move forward. But we are also allowed to enjoy our experience. Even if your world feels like it's turning upside down, it's eclipse season, it's Mercury retrograde, things aren't going out the way you want them to, you're trying to surrender. Sometimes surrendering just looks like giving yourself a moment of fun, turning on your favorite song and screaming at the top of your lungs or dancing around your living room, knowing that, no, that's not going to solve all your problems, but it is okay to grant yourself permission to enjoy your life, even when things are difficult, even when you're still trying to heal, even when you're still trying to navigate uncertainty. So full permission with the moon in Leo to just give yourself the gift of having a little fun. So this lunar eclipse next Friday will be on top of your Saturn. Big lessons coming up for you, Terry, and you might even be starting to realize those lessons as we get closer and closer to the eclipse. All right, moving on to our Friday, our Venus Day, April 28th. We're also just tapped into the Leo moon on Friday. So feeling that first quarter moon in Leo, I love this for Venus Day, just really encouraging us to enjoy ourselves. Overnight, 2 a.m. Pacific time, so 5 a.m. Eastern time. If you're an early riser on the East Coast, you're probably going to experience this as you wake up Friday morning. The moon is squaring Mercury retrograde. And you actually might even be able to see that on this chart here. The moon here is like that loose square to Mercury retrograde. When the moon squares Mercury in general, it's like there's this battle playing out between our head and our heart. With the moon in Leo, definitely tapped into our heart space, but Mercury in Taurus is really bringing us into our rational mind, making sense of things. And with Mercury being retrograde squaring the Leo moon, you might have some thoughts from the past coming up, ideas from the past coming up, even people from your past coming up in your dreams Friday morning. So notice if you're feeling that tension between your head and your heart, or if you're feeling a little bit of like anxiety or depression from dwelling on something from the past. Well, what if this had happened? I should have done this. I should have said this. I wish I would have done this. Come back to the present moment. The moon in Leo asks you to stay in your heart space, stay in your present moment experience. And, you know, journaling or talking to someone else that you trust could be really helpful. Just remember that Mercury's retrograde, so you might not be getting your emotions across exactly how you want them to come across through speaking or writing. So when the moon squares Mercury retrograde, again, many of us will probably be asleep, but notice, are people from your past popping up? Are thoughts and ideas from the past popping up? How can you integrate them into the present moment and not get caught up in what could have been or what should have been? 10 a.m. Pacific time on Friday, Venus Day, the moon harmonizes with Chiron. So coming off of that square between Mars and Chiron, we're definitely still feeling the effects of it and pretty much in the thick of it on Friday. But this trine to Chiron on Friday should allow for a little bit more healing to come through. So whatever was aggravated or provoked on Thursday, by Friday, if we stay in our heart, the healing can unfold really naturally. So just notice when you're in that space of acting from your heart, feeling from your heart, if healing comes more easily, if people come into your life more easily, if resources come into your life more easily that allow for that healing to happen. It could even just be realizations about how you've been guarding your heart, how you've been blocking your heart. How can you let that love flow through more easily? That in itself is healing. Here's where things start to change a little bit. Noon on Friday, noon Pacific time, the moon squares Uranus. Changes of plan, upsets, disruptions are possible on Fridays. So stay flexible. Whatever plans you have for your weekend or your Friday night could change at the last minute. Uranus likes to disrupt things. So yeah, when the moon squares Uranus on Friday, brace yourself and roll with whatever changes are coming. Again, I'm going to say it a million times with the moon in Leo, stay in your heart. How can you have fun and play through the changes rather than letting your ego take control? Oh my gosh, this is what should have happened. That wounding could come up with Chiron still on the other end of a trine to the moon too. So expect the unexpected on Friday afternoon is simply what I'm trying to say. And be careful, because accidents are also possible when the moon squares Chiron. If we're moving too quickly or if our pride gets in the way, pride could definitely get in the way when the moon squares Uranus. So if you're super attached to a plan, it's going to be harder to flow with the changes. Stay open, stay open, stay open. But then Friday evening, the moon forms a sextile to Venus. This is 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So we're ending our week leaning into love, leaning into pleasure, being able to see the beauty around us a little more easily. Should feel nice to be relating to other people, to be talking with other people with Venus in Gemini. Those conversations should light us up, talking about what's on our heart, sharing what's on our heart with other people will feel really good, feel really pleasurable. It feels like a really fun Friday evening to spend with other people. And that could help us navigate whatever's come up, kind of find that levity and that lightness after a very intense and activating week. So I love that we end Venus Day with a connection between the moon and Venus. It feels very fitting. Moving on to our Saturday or Saturn day, we're talking about Mars again. Mars forms a sextile to Uranus on Saturday. This is definitely playing into those changes of plan. Let me see if I can pull this up on the chart for you. Moving ahead here, this transit is exact right around 1 p.m. on Saturday afternoon. So you can see Mars in Cancer, forming a sextile to Uranus in Taurus. This really makes us want to do things differently. Remember, Uranus is the innovator. It's the change maker. It wants to disrupt convention. And so with it connecting with the planet of action, it's like, take action that spurs change. Even if it's just one step towards innovation, we are desiring that under this sextile between Mars and Uranus. And that is supported as well under this supportive angle. We want to do things differently. And with Mars in Cancer, our intuition is really moving us throughout this whole transit of Mars in Cancer. And so we can trust in the motions we're taking, the actions we're taking, as long as our intuition is we're feeling like a yes, take that next step, even if it doesn't fully make sense. Okay. Uranus can also help heighten our intuition too. So moving from your gut, moving from your intuition, checking in. Should I do this? Is it a yes or a no? If you're feeling like, no, don't do that. Saturday might be a day that you just listen to that and hold off before you take action. You might also experience a change in motivation with Mars connecting with Uranus, because Mars is linked to our motivation, our drive, our stamina, and Uranus spurs change. So you might also notice if you're feeling a no, like, okay, I'm going to do this thing. This is on my schedule or whatever for Saturday. And your body is like, no, I don't want to do that. We're not doing that. Has your motivation changed? Have your desires changed? We're allowed to change. It's okay to change. So listening to your body, listening to your intuition. I will say at the same time, Mars connecting with Uranus can make us more impulsive because we're craving excitement. We are anticipating what comes next. We want to disrupt things a little bit. So again, checking with your intuition before you just run with an idea, run with an impulse. We feel that need for a thrill. So just take a beat before diving headfirst into whatever little intuitive ping is coming up. Check in with your body, move somewhat slowly. Mars in Cancer, it's like Mars is swimming through Cancer. Uranus in Taurus is slow, steady, grounded change. Even when it feels abrupt, it's like the earth is moving beneath our feet. So get grounded, check with your body. Don't be too impulsive. If it feels like thrilling and you're just doing it for a thrill, check in with your motivation too. Also happening on Saturday, Mercury Retrograde is squaring Lilith. So be really mindful of how you're communicating. You see Mercury here at 13 degrees in Taurus, squaring Lilith in Leo. Yeah, just our inner bitch is going to be just ready to scream or speak out or whatever on Saturday. This is exact right around 8 p.m. on Saturday night Pacific time. So if you're feeling a little grumpy, if you're feeling a little aggravated in any way, or if you're feeling like there's a communication breakdown starting to happen, I would recommend just tabling the conversation altogether, because it really is easy to snap. If we're feeling any sort of unease about anything, Lilith can definitely take the reins and be like, this is what we're doing. I'm taking control. Could be easy to revert back into past patterns of communication with people too that maybe don't represent our best selves. It's just really easy to be harsh when speaking when Mercury retrograde squares Lilith on Saturday night. Especially with Mercury in the stubborn and practical sign of Taurus, our speech and our thoughts could be a little bit stubborn, again, a little bit harsh. If we feel the urge to speak out against anything that is not feeling comfortable for us, or to talk about anything that's not feeling comfortable for us, just be mindful about how you are expressing that. Be extra nice. Even if you don't want to, your idea of being extra nice on Saturday night might actually come across as just being neutral. So remember that you attract more bees with honey than you do with vinegar. If you're trying to get your point across, if you're feeling a little stubborn, or I could see it being like reviewing a conversation that you've already had with someone, or an agreement you've already made with someone, or just a past thought that you've had, a past idea that you've had. If you're trying to sway someone or convince someone, maybe ask yourself why you're trying to do that. But also, if you're trying to get your point across to someone else, being harsh, being mean, being stubborn is probably not going to get them on board. So just notice if that bitchy side of you is coming out, and maybe even tell the person, listen, I know I'm not communicating as nicely as I could right now, and just bear with me. Okay, I'm having a hard time. You know, bringing that level of compassion into the situation can do a lot of good, I think. I would just say it's easy for messages to get lost in translation as well, because Mercury is retrograde. So even if you have the best intentions, how your words are landing might not be how you intended. How you say something can be the difference between it landing and someone truly listening, rather than them shutting down and feeling defensive because, you know, you're being pushy or harsh or controlling. So if you need to have hard conversations, or if you need to talk about that thing that happened a few months ago, make sure you are setting clear boundaries for the conversation and setting intentions to be kind with your words. Not Lilith. I was supposed to have an important discussion this weekend and make some tough decisions. I guess we should wait until Sunday or take breaks to stay grounded. Yes, stay in the love. Great reminder, Terry. Yeah, I mean, sometimes we can't avoid this, and sometimes these things happen in accordance with the transits for a reason, right? Like Mercury retrograde squaring Lilith could help us express thoughts, ideas that have been repressed, that maybe came up a while ago, but we were like, no, we want to deal with that. So we just shut it down. Lilith could activate like, no, I really have the power and the urge, the desire to express this thing that has been repressed. So it can help us in a way too, just making sure we're doing it. We're speaking our mind in a way that can be received by the person more easily, and being very clear, because Mercury retrograde can create some crossed wires. Okay, the moon moves into Virgo on Saturday afternoon, but first it makes its last connection in Leo, a trine to Jupiter. This is in the middle of the night, 2 a.m. on Saturday morning, so 5 a.m. Eastern time. It could be that you are staying up super late on Friday night because you're feeling that influence from Jupiter. That energy is coming through, that optimism, those good vibes you're feeling late Friday night, especially as the last transit the moon has made at this point is a connection to Venus as well. So there's a lot of love. The moon's in Leo. We're feeling ourselves. We want to have fun. We want to party with Jupiter harmonizing with the Leo moon. It's easy to overdo it, or you could have big dreams, active dreams, maybe a restless night of sleep. I will say when the moon harmonizes with Jupiter, with this fiery energy, there's a lot of passion to work with, and good fortune is on our side. So if you have the energy and you want to stay up and you want to party and you want to have a good time, Friday night into Saturday morning might be the day to do that. Then the moon goes void until noon. So most of us on Saturday are waking up under a void moon. Full permission to just chill a little bit on Saturday morning, especially if you had a late night Friday night. Those main transits we talked about, Mars, sextile Uranus, Mercury square Lilith, don't happen until the afternoon and the evening. So that's really when the activation starts picking up on Saturday, after the moon moves into Virgo. The waxing gibbous moon enters Virgo right around noon Pacific time, so 3 p.m. Eastern time. And this is the phase of the moon cycle, the waxing gibbous moon, where we're gathering a little more data. We're refining, we're making adjustments. We've started to take action. The ball is rolling. Now we're like, okay, let me grab this along the way. Let me just make sure I have everything I need before next week's full moon. Especially with this moon in Virgo, our analytical mind is definitely activated under this transit. So you might notice more of the details. You might notice, oh, I actually do need this resource. I do need to talk to this person. I do need to do X, Y, and Z. You might start making a to-do list with the moon in Virgo. Take it from a double Virgo. We love our to-do list. So there's definitely a productive energy that comes in on Saturday afternoon. And with Mars and Uranus coming into that sextile with each other as the moon moves into Virgo, it's just amplifying the need to do something, to get stuff done. And it might even just be like you have this, okay, let's go. The moon's in Virgo. We got to do this, this, and this, and this, and this. remembering not to be too impulsive. We have time. Stay grounded, stay steady. I know Virgo energy can be a little bit like fast paced, fast moving. We got to go, we got to do, but we have time. Okay. We have time. And with the moon in Virgo, Virgo is the sign of service. So how can you make sure that whatever you're doing, whatever's on your to-do list is being done for the good of all, is being done in service to not only yourself and your body, but to the people you love, the people in your community, the people you serve, the people around you. The last transit we experience on Saturday is an opposition between the moon and Saturn. This is 10 p.m. Pacific time, 1 a.m. Eastern time. So Saturn day ends with an opposition, this 180-degree angle between the Virgo moon and Saturn in Pisces. This can make us feel like we just want to be alone. We can be a little bit isolated. We can be a little bit more serious or negative when the moon opposes Saturn, but this can also help us as an opposition is that magnetizing energy. It can help us draw in maturity, responsibility, and just slow down. As I mentioned, the Virgo moon can feel like we're like, okay, let's do all the things. Let's get everything done. Let's be productive. The moon opposing Saturn is like, okay, that's all good and dandy, but how can you be responsible and mature as you move through your to-do list? How can you have your own sense of authority so you're not feeling like you're constantly needing to do things to serve other people? So when the moon opposes Saturn, yeah, it can make us a little sad, a little negative, but it can also give us that awareness that we need to slow down, that it's okay to take breaks and to chill and to be still for a little bit and to have boundaries. Boundaries could be huge on Saturday night because, again, the Virgo moon, we just want to help everybody. We just want to fix everybody. Saturn is the planet of boundaries, and that opposition to Saturn could help us pull in our boundaries and be like, okay, got to take care of me first. I got to fill my cup up so I can then serve other people the best way I know how. Yes, I love that perspective. Rachel says, just flow with the transits and don't fear them. Yeah, what I have noticed, what I have been recently noticing, especially with this eclipse, is there's really no avoiding things. Even with all the information we have, even with the awareness of what's going on, if something intense is supposed to happen in your life, it's going to happen whether you like it or not. So might as well flow with it, surrender. It is eclipse season after all, and just flow with whatever's coming up. Trust that the intensity you are experiencing in tandem with the transits is what you're supposed to be experiencing in the moment. As a Virgo, I'm kind of lazy, but do feel that got to get things done feeling sometimes. Yeah, so when the moon opposes Saturn, you might just want to have a chill, grounded Saturday night. Okay, and our final day of the forecast, the last day of April, April 30th, next Sunday, it's all about the Virgo moon. So, and the Virgo moon, we're ending on a high note, everyone. As much tension and activation as we've talked about, we're really ending on a high note. So we already touched on the Virgo moon, the moon in the sign of service and the sign of purity, really helping us act intentionally and be aware of the details, cross our T's, dot our I's. I feel like Sunday will be a great day to prepare for the week ahead, to really hone in on that to-do list, right? 6 a.m. we wake up on Sunday under a trine between the moon and the sun. This helps us be confident. There's a lot of vitality here to work with. We'll probably wake up on Sunday as the moon and the sun connect with a lot of energy, with a lot of grounded, like, let's get this done. Let's do it. Let's enjoy our experience at the same time, but really this like confident, like, we got this, waking up on Sunday morning. The moon is making all trines to all those Taurus placements while it's in Virgo on Sunday. So by noon, the moon will harmonize with Mercury Retrograde. This can help us look back on the past, revisit old ideas, revisit old conversations, kind of with a fine-tooth comb, if that makes sense. Like going through and making sure we have all the details correct. Maybe those things we overlooked the first time they happened, the first time the idea popped up, the first time the conversation was broached, become a little bit clearer, and we can see things more easily at, hindsight is 2020. That's the moon harmonizing with Mercury retrograde. Our mind and our body are harmonizing with each other, and whatever is coming up through our mental mind, we can emotionally process more easily. And it's probably going to be something from the past, something that's already happened, maybe even just whatever has come up throughout the past week, since there is so much that we're dealing with this week. Since we are navigating a lot of shifts and changes and transformation through eclipse season, it's like, okay, how can we process what's already happened on Sunday? And then the weekend ends on Sunday at midnight Pacific time. So overnight Sunday into Monday with a trine between the moon and Uranus. Feel like there's going to be a lot of excitement and anticipation of what's to come in the week ahead, late Sunday night. And, you know, that makes sense. We've got a lunar eclipse in the forecast, you know, less than a week after Sunday. It's on Friday morning, I believe, depending on where you live. So, yeah, there's a lot of excitement on Sunday night, and it almost might feel like we're so excited that we can't sleep, you know, what's going to happen? And it's not even necessarily like a fear-based, like, oh gosh, what's going to happen? It's more just like, okay, we're ready for it. Like, we're ready for whatever comes next, especially with the moon in Virgo. Like, how can we be prepared for this? We don't really know what's coming, but we're excited. And we want to make sure that we've got all our ducks in a row for the next week to play out in the middle of eclipse season. And you can see the Virgo moon is going to just make these harmonious aspects, these trines to all of, or these three Taurus placements on Sunday. So definitely ending the week feeling good, processing what's come up, coming back to our own routine, our own productivity, our own to-do list, and getting ready for whatever's to come. It's kind of this nice, harmonious day to reflect on what's already happened and prepare for the week ahead. Yeah, it's been challenging with eclipse season. I feel that. We're in the second week of it. I really feel like it's most of Taurus season is really going to be affected by eclipse season, just because Mercury retrograde's in the mix too. And those are some tough transits to navigate together. Okay, well, that is our forecast. Let's come back to our affirmation of the week. I am healing and growing. This felt like it really encompassed all of the Chiron energy, all of the North Node and South Node activation that we're experiencing, even the Uranus transits that we're talking about. We're here to evolve. We're here to grow. And oftentimes healing is a part of that process. We have to heal ourselves in order to grow from what we've gone through. So just affirming amidst difficulty, even amidst light moments, I am healing and growing. That's what I came here to do. Again, if you're watching this video, you're on some sort of healing journey already. So when things feel difficult, how is this helping me heal? How is this helping me grow? How is this helping me evolve? Katie says, the timing of my trip was so interesting. Gone during the full moon, coming back into eclipse season. There's so much integration, and I got to reel back my anticipation sometimes. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Yes, I feel like next weekend's Virgo moon is that integration. That's a perfect word to describe it. The integration of everything that's already happened since the solar eclipse and the preparedness for what's to come. Thank you, Terry. I appreciate this super chat. It means a lot to me. All right, let's finish up with a card pull. I am feeling like pulling from the Spirit Animal Oracle deck today. This was calling me. So we'll see what spirit animal wants to come through and bring us a little more guidance for this week that we're walking into. As always, this is your time to share any final insights, ask any final questions as we close out our time together. And I'm hoping I will be back next week, but I am leaving on a trip later today, so I'll keep you all posted. I will definitely be talking with you all about the solar eclipse or the lunar eclipse, excuse me, that's coming our way next week. I'm just not exactly sure what my next week's schedule is looking like, but I'm glad we got this time together before I hop on a plane tonight. And it always helps me. I'm liking these weekly forecasts because it does help me feel a little bit more prepared for what's to come rather than just taking things day by day. As a Virgo rising ruled by Mercury, I'm all about that day-to-day energy. But sometimes it's nice to know what we're heading into. I think it can help us be a little bit more proactive than reactive. Whoa! Okay, like 20 cards just flew. Okay, let's all take one deep breath together, clearing our channel, setting our intentions for the week ahead, and sending our energy into the deck, asking God, Goddess, Spirit, Universe, what do we need to know? All right, here we go. Breathing in and release it. What do we need to know? Ooh, the White Raven Spirit, card number 66. The message is trust in the magic. I've never pulled this card. I've never even seen this card in the deck. The White Raven. Okay, here's what it says. Let me find it. Okay. Nothing in the universe is random. For the intricate web of co-creation weaves together all events and has done so since the beginning of time. Coincidences have meaning, and the White Raven Spirit appears to remind you to pay attention to these synchronicities so that you might recognize patterns. Even the winds dance in a pattern, participating in the magic of Spirit's plan for all. Align with the highest good and intentions, and you will come to see that White Raven is guiding you, an ally to you, and a messenger from Spirit. Align with the light, and you will start to recognize that all is working together harmoniously in ways the eye can't always see and the mind can't always comprehend. The universe is conspiring on your behalf right now, drawing you to the light and bringing you the magic and miracles that are your birthright. Now is the time to trust in the magic of the world that is everywhere and in all things. Pay attention to how things come together as if by magic, and you will see the hand of Great Spirit arranging things in your favor. Now, honestly, I can't remember if I pulled this upright or in reverse, but I want to read the protection message too, just in case that resonates with anyone. If you're feeling a little bit more guarded or protected, or like you're going through more difficulty, this message might be for you. Are you being distracted by the illusion of a chaotic universe? Deep in your heart, you know the world is full of magic, and White Raven has appeared to remind you that the ways of the world can cause spiritual amnesia. Stay awake and alert, for Spirit wants you to enjoy the miracles all around you. Remember, the evidence of divine order can be seen everywhere. Ask for a sign and it shall be yours. Synchronicities happen all the time, so if you are in a time of challenge and feeling cynical, all you need to do is ask for a reminder. White Raven will appear to reassure you that all of this is leading to something better, for magic is in the wind. Few things came up when I was reading this. Patterns. It talked about patterns and synchronicities. Mercury's retrograde. Reviewing patterns, even patterns in nature, can be very helpful in allowing us to make sense of things. And trust, surrender. Ask for a sign if you're feeling lost. Ask for your angels, your guides, ancestors, whoever is present for you to just send you a sign. If you're feeling like you need support, remember that you have support around you all the time in this community, in your relationships, in your life, in the abundance that you've already created for yourself, and in the unseen beings who are with you all the time, watching over you. So remember that you are guided, you are loved, you are protected, and nothing is coincidence. Everything that's happening now is part of a bigger web weaving together all of the events in your life thus far and all of the events to come. I love our time together too, Corby. It's like a check-in, and the information for each day is there for us to come back to. Yeah, I'm glad you're liking this format. It's feeling good for me too. I'm so glad we got to chat with you live. It's been a while, but I'm so grateful that you're here, Katie, and so glad you had a beautiful trip. Yeah, I think I needed the protective message. Honestly, I was like, I think I'm going to read this. I need the protection message right now. Us 8th house people with Taurus ruling the 8th house are like, oh God, give me the protection message. I came back from a phone call just for that part. Really trying to just seek out joy right now. And remember that our experience, we didn't just come here to experience joy. We came to experience the full range of emotions. If you're feeling sadness, if you're feeling grief, that is a signal to something that's really important to you or where love once was. So it's not always supposed to be joyful as much as we want it to be. I know, Rachel. We want it to be pretty. We want it to be joyful. It's not always that way, unfortunately. Whatever's happening for you is exactly what's supposed to be happening for you. And you are strong enough and connected and protected to handle whatever you're walking through right now. We are here for you. Stay focused on the divine and be aware of coincidences. Amen to that. Yes, Katie. I've been drawn to There Are No Coincidences deck lately. Confirmation. Love it. I don't believe in coincidence if you are aware of the pattern. Yeah, I think that's a beautiful message to end on. If you're experiencing a lot of coincidences or synchronicities, look for the pattern. Look for the evidence that you are guided, that you are supported, and you will start to receive more evidence of that. All right, everybody, that is going to do it for this episode of the Weekly Orbit. As always, thank you so much for showing up for yourselves. Thank you for showing up for this community each week, for supporting each other, for guiding us all with your input, with your advice, with your insight. We are stronger together, and I'm wishing you as much ease as possible navigating this tough eclipse season and Mercury retrograde. Remember, we've got this. We've just got to take it one step at a time, one day at a time. And we're always being guided. We're always being supported. If you are new to the channel, welcome. We're so excited to have you. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel so you can keep these forecasts coming for free every week. And I'll let you know when I'm going to be back. Follow me on Instagram in the meantime. But until I see you next, stay curious. Thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.